The wind howled like a wounded beast across the vast Montana plains, whipping sheets of rain against the old wooden barn. Elijah Thorne, a weathered rancher in his late 50s, paused mid-stride as he secured the last gate on his sprawling property. His calloused hands gripped the cold metal, but his ears caught something unnatural, a faint, desperate cry slicing through the storm's fury. "Help me!" It seemed to whisper, carried on the gale. Elijah's heart skipped. Years of isolation on the ranch had honed his senses to the subtle pleas of lost calves or injured wildlife, but this was human. Raw. Urgent. He squinted into the darkness, his Stetson dripping water down his rugged face, and there, huddled against a fence post about 50 yards out, was a silhouette. A woman, drenched and trembling, her voice breaking again, "Help me, please." Elijah didn't hesitate. He bolted through the mud, his boots sinking into the earth with each determined step. As he neared, the details emerged under the faint glow of his flashlight: a young woman, no older than 30, with matted auburn hair plastered to her pale skin. She clutched a tattered backpack like a lifeline, her eyes wide with a mix of fear and exhaustion. Her clothes were torn, soaked through, and she shivered violently in the October chill. "Ma'am, what in God's name are you doing out here?" Elijah shouted over the thunder, kneeling beside her. She looked up, her green eyes locking onto his, and in that moment, he saw not just a stranger, but a soul on the brink, broken, perhaps, by life's cruelties. I ran out of gas miles back. My car broke down on the highway. I tried walking, but the storm. Her words tumbled out in gasps, interrupted by chattering teeth. Elijah nodded, his mind racing. This was no place for anyone, let alone a lone woman in the dead of night. The nearest town was 20 miles away, and with the floods rising, roads would be impassable till dawn. "Come on, let's get you inside," he said firmly, offering his arm. She hesitated, glancing at his rough exterior, the gray-streaked beard, the oil-stained jacket, but something in his steady gaze convinced her. She leaned on him, and together they trudged back to the ranch house, the rain pounding like accusations from the sky. Inside, the warmth of the wood-burning stove enveloped them like a long-lost embrace. Elijah's home was simple, a testament to a life of solitude since his wife, Clara, passed 5 years ago from cancer. Faded photos on the mantel showed happier times, Elijah and Clara laughing on horseback, their daughter now grown and living in the city. He fetched a blanket and a mug of hot coffee, watching as the woman, who introduced herself as Mia, wrapped herself tightly, her fingers still trembling. "Thank you," she whispered, sipping slowly. "I didn't think anyone would hear me." Elijah sat across from her at the scarred oak table, the kind built to last generations. "What brings you to these parts, Mia?" "Not many folks venture off the interstate this way." She stared into her cup, her story unfolding in halting pieces. Mia was from Chicago, a graphic designer who'd lost her job in the economic downturn. Desperate for a fresh start, she'd packed her life into her old sedan and headed west, chasing rumors of opportunity in Seattle. But fate had other plans, a blown tire, then the engine failure, stranding her in the middle of nowhere. Worse, she'd fled an abusive ex-boyfriend, one who tracked her phone before she ditched it. "I just need to get to a mechanic tomorrow," she said, her voice cracking. "I can't go back." As the storm raged outside, Elijah listened without judgment. He'd known hardship himself, losing the ranch's profitability to droughts, burying his wife alone, watching his daughter drift away to urban dreams. But in Mia's eyes, he saw a mirror of his own past vulnerabilities. "You can stay here tonight," he offered. "Guest room's clean. No strings." She nodded gratefully, but as she rose to retire, a sharp pain shot through her ankle, she'd twisted it in the mud. Elijah insisted on bandaging it, his gentle touch surprising her. In that quiet act, an unexpected connection sparked. Mia shared stories of her childhood dreams, and Elijah recounted tales of ranch life, the sunrises that made every struggle worthwhile. But the night held an unforeseen twist. Around midnight, as Mia settled in, a frantic knocking echoed at the door. Elijah opened it to find Sheriff Harlan, a burly man with a flashlight scanning the yard. "Elijah, you seen a young woman?" Reports of a stolen car matching her description from the highway patrol. Mia froze in the hallway, her face ashen. "It's not what you think," she pleaded. The sheriff explained, Mia's ex had reported the car stolen out of spite, twisting the narrative to paint her as the villain. Elijah's jaw tightened, he'd seen enough injustice in his days. "She's no thief, Harlan. She's a guest. I'll vouch for her." The sheriff, an old friend, relented after a quick call, but the incident unearthed Mia's deeper fears, her ex's relentless pursuit, the restraining order that meant little in the vastness of America. As the sheriff left, Elijah turned to Mia, who collapsed into sobs. "Why are you helping me? You don't even know me." He paused, his voice steady. "Because kindness ain't about knowing someone. It's about seeing the human in them. Clara taught me that." For the first time in years, Elijah felt a stir of purpose beyond the ranch's fences. Little did he know, this encounter would unravel secrets from his own past, forcing a profound realization that selflessness could heal not just the receiver, but the giver too. The hours stretched as they talked by the fire. Mia revealed more, her dreams deferred by toxic relationships, her passion for art stifled by survival. Elijah shared his regrets, pushing his daughter away after Clara's death, burying himself in work to avoid grief. An unexpected turn came when Mia pulled a sketchbook from her backpack, drawing a quick portrait of Elijah from memory. "You're like the heroes in old westerns," she said with a faint smile. "Stoic, but kind." He chuckled, but the gesture touched him deeply, reminding him of Clara's paintings that once adorned the walls. As dawn approached, the storm subsided, leaving a crisp clarity in the air. Elijah offered to drive Mia to town, but she hesitated. What if he's waiting? The fear in her voice ignited something fierce in him, a protective instinct long dormant. "Then we'll face it together," he replied. But in that moment of vulnerability, Mia whispered, "Help me, claim me tonight." It wasn't a romantic plea, but a metaphorical one. Claim her story, her right to freedom, her humanity in a world that had tried to strip it away. Elijah understood, he'd claim her cause as his own, if only for this night. They spent the remaining hours planning. Elijah called his daughter, Emily, a lawyer in Denver, who promised legal aid. An old friend with a tow truck agreed to retrieve the car discreetly. Mia's gratitude swelled, but so did Elijah's introspection. Helping her forced him to confront his isolation, how he'd let grief claim his life, turning him into a shadow of the man Clara loved. The realization hit like a thunderclap, selflessness wasn't just for others, it was the key to reclaiming his own soul. By morning, as the sun pierced the horizon, painting the plains in gold, Mia stood taller, her ankle bandaged, spirit mending. Elijah felt a weight lift, the ranch no longer a prison of memories but a haven of possibility. Yet the true climax loomed ahead, in the light of day, where acts of compassion would forge unbreakable bonds. With the first rays of sunlight filtering through the kitchen curtains, Elijah brewed a fresh pot of coffee, the aroma mingling with the earthy scent of damp soil outside. Mia emerged from the guest room, her hair tied back, a determined glint in her eyes that hadn't been there the night before. "I can't thank you enough, Elijah," she said, accepting a mug. He waved it off with a gruff smile. "Ain't nothing. Now, let's get you sorted." But as they stepped onto the porch, the unexpected reared its head again. A sleek black SUV pulled up the driveway, dust kicking up behind it. Mia's face drained of color. "That's him. My ex, Derek." Elijah's hand instinctively went to the rifle by the door, but he paused. Violence wasn't the answer, Clara had always preached peace. Instead, he stepped forward, shielding Mia. Derek emerged, a slick city type in a pressed shirt, his face twisted in false concern. "Mia, baby, I've been worried sick. Come on, let's go home." His voice dripped with manipulation, the kind that had trapped her for years. Mia shook her head, voice steady for the first time. No, Derek. It's over. Leave. The confrontation escalated quickly. Derek advanced, spewing accusations, but Elijah stood firm. Son, you're on private property. Turn around and go. Derek laughed derisively. Who are you, old man? Her knight in shining armor. In that mocking tone, Elijah saw reflections of his younger self, arrogant, unyielding before life humbled him. But Mia's hand on his arm grounded him. He's more than that. He's a friend. As tensions peaked, the sheriff's cruiser appeared, sirens silent but lights flashing. Elijah had texted Harlan discreetly. Derek's bluster faded as the law intervened, citing the restraining order and escorting him away. Mia collapsed against Elijah, tears of relief streaming. You didn't have to do that, she murmured. He hugged her awkwardly, paternally. Yes, I did. Because no one should claim another's life like property. You're free now. The emotional climax unfolded in the aftermath. With Derek gone, Elijah drove Mia to town, where his friend fixed her car gratis, moved by the story. But as they waited, Mia turned to Elijah with a profound realization. Last night, when I said, claim me tonight, I meant, help me reclaim myself. You've given me that. Elijah's eyes misted. In helping her, he'd reclaimed parts of himself lost to grief. He confessed, I was drowning in my own storm till you showed up. Kindness goes both ways. Back at the ranch that evening, Mia insisted on staying one more day to repay him. She helped with chores, her city hands learning to mend fences, feed horses. Laughter echoed in the barn for the first time in years. Emily arrived unexpectedly, drawn by her father's call. The reunion was tearful, Elijah apologizing for his distance, Emily forgiving, inspired by his act toward Mia. Dad, you're still the hero Mom always said you were, she whispered. As night fell, they gathered around a bonfire, sharing stories under a starlit sky. Mia sketched the scene, capturing the warmth. The transformative impact was palpable. Mia, once broken, now empowered to continue west with renewed hope. Elijah, once isolated, now reconnected with family and purpose. Even the ranch seemed alive again, as if Clara's spirit approved. In the end, Mia departed at dawn, but not before leaving her sketch, a portrait of Elijah with the words, the rancher who claimed hearts. Her final words, kindness isn't a debt, it's a gift that multiplies. Elijah watched her drive away, heart full, knowing one night's selflessness had sparked chains of humanity. Years later, Mia thrived in Seattle, her art gallery featuring pieces inspired by that fateful night. Elijah's ranch became an informal haven for travelers in need, his daughter visiting often. The power of humanity, kind, selfless, proved unbreakable, inspiring all who heard the tale to extend a hand in the storm. And so, in the vast American heartland, where storms rage and fade, remember, a single act of compassion can claim the night and light the way forward. Hope endures, humanity prevails.